In this video, I'm gonna shop at a variety of stores to see which ones sell yo-yos. And whatever yo-yos we find, we'll bring back to the crib and test them out to see if they're pro-yo or no-yo. Let's get started. Okay, so yo-yos are a bit of an odd hobby in the sense that everyone knows what a yo-yo is, but not a lot of people play with them on a regular basis. So I'm curious if stores would even bother selling them nowadays. And if they do, what are they like? The first store I want to check out is a department store called Walmart. Walmart sells just about everything, from food, tools, drip, this mug, and of course, lots of toys.
Which is going to be the first place I'll check.
And given the variety of toys they sell, I decided to check the aisle with card games, Rubik's Cubes, and other skill toy items. And just when I was getting worried I wouldn't find any, I turned around and spotted two different yo-yos.
Let's go. We have a yo-yo and a yo-yo pro.
They even had them in a variety of colors as well.
This orange one's pretty sick. All right, we're gonna cop these two.
With Walmart being a success, the next place I decided to look was Karen's favorite department store, Target.
But I'm a little concerned because whenever I come here for something specific, they almost never have it.
I've always thought of Target as a smaller, tidier version of Walmart, so I used a similar strategy and looked in the toy section where I found the card games and Rubik's Cubes on this back wall. And despite my initial concerns, I actually found a yo-yo pretty easily.
Oh, let's go.
I found a Butterfly XT made by Duncan, which is actually a fairly reputable yo-yo company, making this a pretty legit find.
Excuse me, ma'am. Which color do you like better?
I like
W number 2, baby. Let's go.
However, the quality of these yo-yos still remains a mystery. So while I'm on my way to the next store, let's see if these are pro-yo or no-yo. These are the ones from Walmart, and they're both made by a company called Tremendous. This one in particular is called the yo-yo. Very original. And just from holding it in my hand, I can already tell this is very low quality. It's got these weird scuffs all over, this plastic bit hanging off the side, and the gap is completely uneven. Look at that. But then again, the box did say it's great for tricks. And I actually know the trick they're doing in that photo, so I'm gonna try it with this yo-yo. Ooh! Wow, I'm pretty surprised, but I'm still gonna give it no-yo. But how about this one called the YoYo Pro, which turns out is actually just a yo-yo ball? So instead of having two separate halves like a normal yo-yo, yo-yo balls are one piece and they have a mechanism inside that constantly pulls on the string, causing it to wind up without any spin power. So you kind of just go like this with it, which feels nothing like a proper yo-yo. Walmart under-delivered, so it's time to try this one from Target. This is the Butterfly XT made by Duncan, which is actually a pretty famous yo-yo company, so I have high hopes for this one. It has a wide butterfly shape, and I can already tell this is significantly higher quality, not just by the feel of it, but because it also has a bearing, which is a part inside the yo-yo that helps it spin longer. And in terms of the yo-yo's performance, it functions just fine, and with some skill you can even do a few string tricks with it. So I'm gonna give it pro-yo. Okay, so after finding yo-yos at department stores that sell just about everything, what if we pull up to a store that just sells toys? This is one of those local mom and pop toy shops, and aside from selling the typical mainstream toys you're used to seeing, toy stores like these tend to sell some more obscure and unique items as well.
Okay, I found this section with a bunch of card games. No yo-yos though, but I think there's a spot over here. Nothing by the Rubik's Cube section. Yo! We just hit the jackpot. This is too easy.
Yeah, I think my yo-yo detector had a malfunction because it turns out I actually passed them on my way to look at the Rubik's Cubes. Not only did they have a large quantity of yo-yos, but an impressive variety as well with 7 different kinds.
And we're copping all of them.
At this point, I wanted nothing more than to keep my lucky streak going.
So I'm thinking we check another toy store. This one's inside the mall.
However, unlike the toy store we just visited, this one has a smaller emphasis on the toys and a larger focus on things like learning and education supplies. But that didn't stop me.
Yes, sir.
I found a Duncan Butterfly and Imperial.
But we already got both of these at the last store, so we're gonna leave them here.
And now that I was 4 for 4, I wanted to push my luck even further by checking somewhere unexpected like a grocery store. But in the meantime, we've got some yo-yos to catch up on. Let's look at this one first because it's called the First Yo. Given the name, it's pretty clear this is meant for beginners, but the most distinct feature about this yo-yo is that it's made out of this soft rubber, so if you accidentally hit it on the floor or the wall, it won't get damaged. However, this yo-yo has a pretty weak spin, and you can't unscrew it if you need to undo any knots that are caught inside the yo-yo. But I'm not gonna lie, this rubber material is super satisfying. It's like one of those stress balls. But you better stay alert because this next yo-yo is called the Reflex. And I'm pretty sure this is one of those auto-return yo-yos because they only mentioned it 7 times on the box. See, when a yo-yo is spinning at the bottom of the string, you normally have to tug for it to wind back up. But this yo-yo has a special clutch mechanism inside that causes it to wind up automatically. No tug required. The only issue is that when you try to do tricks with it, it might wind up when you don't want it to. But otherwise, the quality is pretty decent, and I always like to see something different and innovative, so I'll give it a pro yo. This next one is called the Hornet. No fancy gimmicks on this one, however it's made for looping style tricks, which I'll admit I'm not very good at, but from what I can tell it seems to handle them pretty okay. I don't really have much else to say, other than it's just a good, solid, quality yo-yo. It's not trying to be anything too flashy, unlike these two which literally light up when they spin. Here we have the Limelight and the Pulse, and these look awesome in the dark. And I think it's especially cool how the lights inside of them change colors. They also look to be nearly identical in shape, size, proportions, with the only difference being that the Pulse has a bearing which should help it spin longer than the Limelight. Keyword should, because when I tested them out, they both played very similarly. I was able to do all the same tricks on them, and there was hardly a difference in spin time. So I kind of feel like I just bought 2 of the same yo-yo, and I can't figure out which one is better, and I'm starting to overthink it now, so pro yo, no yo. And wrapping up the toy store yo-yos, here we have the Butterfly and Imperial. Now keep in mind, I found these in 2 different toy stores, so perhaps they're more common than the rest. The Butterfly has a butterfly shape, and the Imperial has an imperial shape.
Wow.
As for the quality, they both feel fine, but in terms of play, yeah, sure they function, but the spin time is so short, and there's just not much substance to these in terms of what you can do with them. Also, you can't unscrew them if you need to remove any knots, so that's a double no-yo. What up, bros? Back on the road, looking for some yos. Right now I'm on my way to a local grocery store. Now I'm fully aware that grocery stores specialize in food, but sometimes they have a small section with books and some toys sprinkled in there as well. And after peeking around the area for a few minutes, I didn't find any yo-yos.
I'm starting to get a little bit worried, I'm not gonna lie.
I even found some toys here and there throughout the food aisles, but no yo-yos.
Alright, so we had to take the L on that one, but then again, every grocery store is different.
So I drove to another grocery store, only to have less success than the previous one because I couldn't even find an aisle with books or toys. The closest they had was this section with scooters and knockoff Legos.
Well, I guess that's a no for this place.
But I was determined to find yo-yos in at least one grocery store.
I see the toy section coming up. You gotta be kidding me, bro. It's honestly a bummer, I'm not gonna lie. Let's go.
Turns out they actually had some Dunkin' Imperials. And yes, I know we already found this one at the toy stores.
Still, a yo-yo is a yo-yo, so mission success. In all places, the drink aisle, it's so odd.
And if you think that's a weird place to find yo-yos, well, they had even more in the snack aisle, and even more in the cereal aisle, and even more in the candy aisle.
It's like they have yo-yos everywhere except where they're supposed to be.
And right next door was a store called Dollar Tree where everything costs $1.
Let's go. We don't have any of these. It looks like they got a few different kinds here, so we'll have to pick up one of each. All right, guys, we are back in the game. Let's go.
As for these yo-yos, they're all made by the same company, with the same name and identical packaging. But if you take a look at the yo-yos themselves, you'll start to see some differences. This one stands out the most because of its narrow shape, whereas these two have wider shapes. And the only difference between these is that the red one is slightly wider, and this green one has flat sides. Also, I like these giant stickers that look like they could hypnotize someone when the yo-yo spins. I meant to say if the yo-yo spins, because no matter how I threw it, it would immediately wind back up when it reached the end of the string. In fact, all 3 of them were guilty of this. It turns out the string was actually being crushed by the 2 halves of the yo-yo, when normally it should have a bit of space in between. Not only does this make it impossible for the yo-yo to spin at the end of the string, but it can also damage the string over time. But I guess I can't be too harsh because, after all, they were only $1 each.
Psych!
At this point, I realized something. Although we were successful in finding lots of yo-yos in a variety of stores, the quality of these yo-yos has only gotten worse and worse. But I remembered hearing about one last store called Hobby Lobby, which supposedly sells the Yo-Yo Factory whip. But I've never been to a Hobby Lobby before, not to mention, it's over an hour away.
Starting route to Hobby Lobby.
This place was absolutely massive, filled with all kinds of stuff, and I do mean all kinds.
But we're here for yo-yos, and I think the toy section's coming up.
Which was surprisingly small with only 2 aisles.
We got Uno cards and Rubik's Cubes, that's a good sign. There it is.
Now I gotta be honest, this yo-yo is nothing all too special. In fact, it's actually pretty basic.
Huh?
But that's exactly where this yo-yo shines. It feels super durable, it has a wide shape, and a bearing for good spin times. And although these features aren't anything groundbreaking or anything we haven't seen before, they're all just executed so well here and contribute to one quality yo-yo that not only works well, but is just fun and satisfying to use. Which is why yo-yos like this are exactly what I hope to find in stores more often. That's gonna do it for this one. Let me know in the comments if you've ever found yo-yos in a store before. And if you want to give this yo-yo thing a try without having to go to a bunch of different stores to find a quality yo-yo, then check out my online yo-yo shop. I recommend the Arrow or the Master Pack for beginners. The shop will be the first link in the description below. Thanks for watching, see you on the next one.